Hey everybody, this is Talkative Carl back again for another comic book review. Today we'll be doing like a DC comic book review of one of my favorite Superman stories. Uh, this is the Earth One universe. Superman Earth One, volumes 1, 2, and 3. Now, just to give you a context of what Earth One universe is like, while the main DC universe, as we know of it now, is set in Universe Zero as the Prime universe. But there's Earth One universe where it's kind of like the way Miles Morales is like the Ultimate Spider-Man from the Ultimate Universe, where it's kind of like if Peter Parker got his powers in the early 2000s instead of the main continuity set during like the 60s, where Stan Lee created it. It's kind of like the same thing. Uh, 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 this story is the story is written by J. Michael Straczynski and artist Shane Davis. And I gotta say, the art in the Earth One comics is always phenomenal. As like unbelievable works of art. I mean, honestly, I get a kick out of just looking at it half the time. I get a kick out of it. So the story follows Clark. He's moving out of Smallville. He's entering Metropolis for the first time, basically trying to figure out his way, what he needs to do with himself. Given the fact that he's not like everybody else, he wants to do something, but he's just not exactly 100% on what he needs to do. It's like he's trying to figure out himself. With all these abilities, he can easily, just easily do anything he wants to make enough money for his mother and everything like that. In this universe, Jonathan Kent is dead. I mean, it's kind of like he's like the Uncle Ben in a way. There's a lot of iterations where like this dude can't catch a break. He's usually dead for the most part, and his mother's usually around. There's only rare cases when both parents are around. And I usually kind of prefer that, where to have both parents around just to get guidance from both of them. I just don't like this whole Aunt May kind of scenario with a lot of superheroes. That's just my take on that subject. Uh, but yeah, he's getting his own apartment. He, uh, it's so it's not like in the middle of like a crappy neighborhood, but it's not like a risky neighborhood either. It's like it's right in the middle. But as the landlord explains to him, it's like he's walking in a certain neighborhood, at a certain point at night, you will get mugged. Which eventually he, one tries to mug him, but obviously it doesn't work out well. He, you know, uses heat vision to burn off his, hair on his head and melt the gun, and then disappears. He tries out different scenarios of what to do with his mind and body, and see like, okay, anything I can do, I'll be super in. It's just, I just see if it fits me. He tries out for football. He easily excels at it in every position the coach uh, tells him to try. Uh, and then he is like, okay, telling his assistant coach, like, get a check, make it blank, so he can put any number he wants on it. Then he goes to this research company so he can try out R&D, research and development. And he's talking to this businessman who is telling him like the people behind the glass have been working on a way to get like what is it, like electricity from salt or something like that. Derive electricity directly from salt water. And then Clark looks at like the equations and stuff. He jots down a note. He said, like, hand your scientist this and see if it helps. And then they realized that they found the ingredient they're looking for. And then, of course, they're very pleased, knowing they got like a genius on their hands. Later on, he's talking to his mother later that night. He said he can easily be anything, like any sports star, any businessman, scientist, any one of those things could help support her. She says, like, I'm fine. We got, like, great, neighbors here in Smallville that's helping out. Like, we got a lot saved up. I'm comfortable. Like I just want to make sure that you're happy. That's all me and Jonathan pretty much wanted from you. Then next day he tries out going to the Daily Bugle. He finally goes to the Daily Bugle and meets up with Perry White, who gives him the spiel about newspapers a dying breed. I'm pretty much like a dinosaur in like a digital age, and but like we stay true to us. We don't lose our way here, essentially. So like he's handed like an application. He doesn't meet Lois Lane, but he runs into her as he's trying to talk with Perry. Jimmy Olsen in this, I think, is great. I think this is like my favorite interpretation of Jimmy Olsen, where he's more handsome. He's not like a goofball, but they don't take it too far ahead. He's kind of like an average looking dude that is like right in the middle. It's not like the CW version of Jimmy Olsen, where he's like, rugged good looks and talks with the D-boys like this. And, I used to be a nerd too. Yeah. I was like, don't mind my rugged good looks or my deep voice, that silky smooth voice, and my muscles. Don't mind all that. I used to be a nerd, like, it's hard to buy him as. And then they do a flashback and trying to like make him get him all nerd up, and it's like, I believe that more from Tobey Maguire in the first Spider-Man movie, way before I believed that nerd look on you. It was like a whole thing. But of course, if you ever read any Superman comic books, back in the day, Jimmy Olsen was supposed to be like, not a nerdy sidekick to Superman, but it's just like the photographer that takes pictures for the Daily Bugle. Of course, is on the geeky side, sure, and it's like takes pictures of Superman and other stuff for the Daily Bugle and for Lois Lane. But this one, he is just as much of a hard news reporter as Lois Lane, but more so for photography. He gets to the thick of it, even though it might endanger his life. He does make sure he gets like the best pictures for the Bugle. So it's like I like this interpretation of Jimmy Olsen. I wish they use this more often. Of course, as Clark leaves, he tosses the application in the trash. Doesn't even consider filling it out. He's just like, he's still figuring himself out himself. He flies up into the sky, and he just reminisces the time that his parents told him about the ship that crashed and where he came from and everything like that, from the stars. And like, we want to make sure that you're loved, and it's not like we don't want to make sure you don't think we're hiding anything from you. And of course, it was like a tough upbringing for him in Smallville. If you ever watch mostly in like the first season of, or at least first 2 seasons of Smallville TV show, they shown certain flashbacks, or if you read any comics, you've seen like certain flashbacks, or even the first Christopher Reeve movie, Superman. You've seen certain callbacks to when he was a lot younger, and he got into like fights in school or whatever, and like, cause he just wouldn't fight back, knowing that he even though he's not as powerful as we know him to be as an adult, as a kid, he still dangerous enough to seriously hurt somebody if he's not careful. Uh, he doesn't necessarily get hurt when other kids jump on him. At that time, his powers wasn't fully developed. He heals quicker. He can take a hit. I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty sure when Superman was a kid, he was only minorly bulletproof, but just enough where he doesn't get killed thanks to the solar radiation. But he wasn't like 100% as of yet at that age. But because you see like certain images when like kids was like punching him, you see like stuff falling out of his mouth. Some of it spit, but it's like it wasn't like you punch Superman now. It's like hitting a wall. It's not gonna nothing's gonna do much. But as a kid, when you get punched, the punch connects, and he like it causes him to fall. Like at least like move a bit. It probably didn't hurt all that much, and it didn't leave much of a bruise or anything like that, at least for not that long. But it's just you can see the stark difference. But there's certain images you see like Clark getting upset, but then just relinquishes that, knowing that what his parents taught him about, because they were so hesitant on, in every interpretation of Superman, they were so hesitant on getting him to go to public school while they've been homeschooling him for the longest time, worry about what he'll do, or at least what could happen, not necessarily knowing it's not his fault. But at a certain point, they discuss about the birds and the bees with him as he got older, and it's like it's not that there's some things that they can't avoid from happening, because like every species has sexual urges, and they told him like, we don't expect you to be a monk, but there's certain things you're gonna have to like just be careful, which I kind of like, because like it's been mentioned in certain interpretations of Superman that he had, unless he's dealing with somebody as powerful as him, or at least nearly so, like at the most Wonder Woman, like somewhere between Wonder Woman and Kryptonian, he's gonna have to like be like extremely like gentle, because one more move he'll split somebody in half. I'm imagining that, without meaning to. You get this new character, this general, not General Lang. No, it's a major. I'm sorry. No, it's not a major. It's Sergeant. No, this is a major. Yeah. What's the name? Major Sandra Lee, and they managed to get a hold of Clark's ship that he came in as a baby. Now, during a flashback of when the ship crashed to Earth and stuff like that, it exploded trying to like, protect itself from being collected by any foreign species for examination. But eventually it reassembled itself over time, with a few pieces here and there missing, one of which Clark has. From the parents kept it after all these years just to have something. And they're just studying it, not knowing who it belongs to as of yet. Now, as Clark, eventually, got him to look at it, it activates, because the whole Kryptonian technology is kind of like, a connection was made like over Wi-Fi kind of situation biologically. But it also sent out a signal for this armada led by this white Joker looking alien named Tyrell, who was like a not a kind of like a cousin race to the Kryptonians, which is supposed to be like reserved for like the Kandorians, who were like the not Kryptonians, but it's they got roughly similar power set as Kryptonians when exposed to the yellow sunlight. Only difference is, at least one I remember, is that the Kandorians are weak to lead, similar to how kryptonite is poisonous to Kryptonians. That's the stark difference. But Kandorians is never brought up in this. In this version, it's Tyrell's species, which is named something else. And he's a last of his species as well. And he's came looking for Clark, which with that signal signifies that he is there on this particular planet. So he's attacking this planet with his armada, these robotic drones, and they're looking for this last race, because there was like a blood feud between these two races, and since they're both in this last race, it's up to him to like wipe out this last Kryptonian. And then once Clark realizes what's going on, he's finally ready to like just suit up finally and take down this Tyrell guy. I swear to God, he looks like the Joker. Then he battles this Armada who's about to like hurt Jimmy, who's trying to take these up close photo shots of these robot foot soldiers, and like just Superman sitting there watching, admiring like this dude's like sticking his neck out, knowing like he could seriously get hurt, and like he went out his way to make sure that he put on a suit made by his mother. It's always a thing in every Superman story. When people mention how cool his costume looked, he always says, "Thanks, my mother made it." And so he jumps in and into the fray, starts taking down these foot soldiers and these ships, and then Tyrell steps in and like pretty much going toe to toe with Superman, but he's a little more a battle hardened, a little like he's trained himself more so than Clark has, and like hand to hand fighting. It's like you get somebody who's got hand to hand skills, plus with Kryptonian powers, at least roughly closely to similar power set, then he will have something more on Superman than most other just bruisers. He explains to Clark that like this strange being came to his race, let him know what how they can defeat their shared enemy, the Kryptonians. Basically, he was responsible of drilling into the using this man's science to not only because they're jealous of the Kryptonians because they would manage to figure out the science to get off world to explore the stars, which they did not have the technology to do. At least they could not catch up to that kind of technology. So this man gave them technology that they needed to not only build these drills that he instructed them in order to wipe out the entire planet all in one fell swoop, without having to deal with the constant battle of war that will rage on for months on end, with ultimately they probably will lose. They can just destroy the entire planet. But in the ensuing fight, there that plane was caught up too. So he essentially was decided to just drill into this planet too, so he can blow up Earth with him on it. And then uh, Tyrell fires this like red sun gravity beam on top of Superman, just blasting him to the ground. And it's like all his own weight is used against him, where he can't even move an inch. He's just stuck there essentially, while Tyrell is planning to just make Earth implode. Uh, uh, but Lois and Jimmy are out there watching with the crowd while nobody's doing anything. They decide to step in, using this like truck with this like those truck that had those chains of hooks that you can pull off to haul things with. They managed to get it to the into the beam while it's slowly crushing the truck. They got enough in there so Superman can reach the chain, so they can just start pulling back and bringing him along with it, saving him essentially. So that way, he regains his strength, went back to take on Tyrell, and while they fighting inside his ship, the ship is has solar, red solar rays around, so both of them are pretty much normal. So this is basically like a normal fist fight now, even playing field. But in the ensuing fight, Tyrell got impaled. Uh, uh, Superman decides to destroy the ship completely, and in the ensuing fight, just like it takes out the entire armada. It's similar to like the Avengers movie where the Chitauri just falls down when the main ship is destroyed. In the end, after the ensuing battle, he goes to the Daily Planet fully in the geeky traditional Clark Kent get up with the glasses and everything like that. Comes to Perry White with the exclusive story on Superman and with the full interview and everything like that, bringing like the Daily Planet on, putting the Daily Planet on the map and being like the number one exclusive newspaper with the interview with Superman and the pictures and everything like that, which everybody else wanna which is kind of thing like I never knew about, like newspaper or news junkets or whatever like that, that if somebody got exclusive reports and exclusive pictures, they all gonna have everybody else gonna have to go through them to buy those copies of those so they can use it for their outlets. I'm pretty sure that's how it's done. I never knew that. It makes sense. Of course, Lois is suspicious of him because it's like, okay, like we never saw you down there, but he mentions like, oh, he's around. So that's the first exposure. Superman exposing himself to the world, or at least coming out to the world for the first time. So that in his first big major battle was it something like I kind of wanted from like Man of Steel, because like if you want to get into Superman, like you want like a good Superman story to jump into, definitely Superman Earth One is a good recommendation. But you can also go to DC Rebirth as a good jumping on point. And of course, the first Action Comics #1 Superman is a worthwhile look. Just to be able to read the first comic of Superman, the very first superhero story in history, who began this whole entire thing first and foremost. Superman is the first. And so those are my 3 primary recommendations. Definitely to jump into some Superman and telling good Superman stories. There's a lot of good Superman stories, but there's a fair amount of bad ones too. And it's not hard, but it's like it's a bit of work just to get some pull some good Superman stories. Because a lot of people you hear like people can't tell no good Superman story. He's too powerful. You can't relate to him. You can't do no. This proves that you can tell a good Superman story. Because Earth One is a great example. DC Rebirth of Superman, great example. I highly recommend those if you want some good Superman stories. And then go into other stuff if you're curious. Okay, now volume 2. This is a nice little go between because part 1 and part 3 goes deep into his Kryptonian culture and history and feeds into the story. This is like a good in between, which is still very good. And this is the introduction of Parasite, one of Superman's classic rogues galleries. The first time I ever known about Parasite was the Superman 90s TV show, because his name is Rudy Jones, but they call him something, his real name is different here in this universe. Of course, right at the beginning of Volume 2, with, Jimmy and Lois are talking, she's jealous because Clark managed to swoop in and get like the exclusive on Superman before she did. But she also is just like always suspicious of everybody's motives until proven wrong. You get see Clark's interaction with his neighbors is just like a junkie guy. I hate calling him a junkie, but it's just like you get to see like certain Clark uses X-ray vision to see like he got like a needle in his pocket to use. Hey Nick, what's his name? Eddie Monroe, and he meets this beautiful looking neighbor. What's her name? Lisa LaSalle. And Lisa LaSalle is kind of like Lana Lang a bit, but matter of fact, what she reminds me of, it looks like Mary Jane a little bit because she got the red hair and she got that party girl attitude about her. But I like Lisa LaSalle, and it's funny because if you think about it, Clark got a type because a lot of his love interests has the double L's. Lois Lane, Lana Lang, Lisa LaSalle, Lex Luthor for some reason. You ever notice that? It's weird, right? Unless the writers is like, just placating to like just the theme to it. But she's she's like an escort on the side to make some money, but her overall dream is like modeling. That's why I'm saying like she kind of reminds me of Mary Jane a little bit. Of course, Clark is smitten with her. He's trying to like keep his cool. She's eating up all his ice cream and everything like that, which is funny. Then of course you meet this universe's Parasite. Calling something else. He's typically Parasite. His real name is Rudy Jones, but they call him something else here. But he had his partner. His partner messed up because he's kind of like a sadistic person. Dweeby looking sadistic person who gets off of recording all their criminality and like any harm they inflict on somebody else. He like gets off from recording, which this Parasite guy does not want recorded so he can avoid getting caught. So he goes back to the computer that he used to keep it saved at his workplace, which is kind of dumb too. So it's like ironically I'm pretty sure it's like Star Labs, Chicago base, which is funny, Chicago based Star Labs. And he got busted by the security. He went to this room while guns firing off. He got exposed to this like blue energy thing. That's some experiment they're working on, and expose himself and end up turning him into this to the this universe's parasite. Now, of course, Superman is doing his Superman thing. Lois is still investigating him, going through his like, you know, personnel files, like really like going through like very, above beyond personal records that she managed to gain access to just to dig up stuff on Clark. Coming to realize like, this guy, you know, obviously he's very smart, given the information I'm getting from people who knew him, but he managed to like maintain like not only a C average, but it's like across the board. It's like he didn't want to stand out whatsoever, and it's like he kind of like he's trying to blend in. He didn't want to stand out whatsoever. He's she feel like he was hiding something. The fact that he maintained a C average through everything, despite one of his teachers knowing that he's kind of like holding himself back, given how smart they know he is. They took a test that wasn't going to be put on like any kind of permanent record. It's just to test him, and given the fact that like they go through it and see like how he scored all marks across the board, perfect score all the way. It's the fact that he's holding himself back, not knowing why. Then Clark gets like a call in, or at least knows on like a phone or something like that about this general over in like the island of Borada. It's like a made up country. There's a lot of those in the DC universe. It's kind of like one of those like war torn countries, like in the Middle East or something like that. Now, this country was in danger. The people are in danger of a flood coming in. He's doing his can to save everybody and everything like that. He comes to this general. General's telling him to like get out of his country. He's not needed here, and he's trying to, Superman's trying to explain to him like your people's going to die, if you don't do something. Why are you not doing anything? And it's like, and he threw Superman like threw to the ground like at a severed arm, and saying like there'll be more bodies like this if you do not leave after I say now. So to avoid anybody else getting hurt, Superman decides to leave. But the general, before he goes, mentions like, anybody who has the most guns, makes the rules kind of situation. So Superman, flies off in a huff, hating the fact that he can't do nothing to help these people, and then their supposed leader is leaving them to die without any kind of cause, because he's seeing them as enemies, because if they're not helping him and they're supplying weapons or hiding his enemies away, or like in any kind of shape or fashion, then they're classified as his enemies through and through, no matter what, by default. And it's just like those kind of dictators. And then you get news reports all around the world. Everybody's playing like, who is this Superman just going over in these other countries and just like just throwing his weight around, blah blah blah. And it's like, they don't take it seriously that he actually genuinely wants to help. It's like, I imagine it's kind of like what the real world would be if there was like a sincere Superman, and it's like people are suspect of his motives. Like they expect him to turn on us and a drop of a hat. It's like no one's that good. No one's actually going out that way just to do good, just to do good. Like what kind of joke is that? It's hard for him to believe that he sincerely wants to help. Everybody, not just a particular group of people. You see, Parasite going through a tear, stealing people's life forces to, gain more strength to, uh, uh, you know, or you feel like he was gonna just die. And you see this little daydream Superman's having that it's like what he really wanted to do, which is kind of like I kind of like this because you get because those people who like those cynical superhero stories like The Boys or whatever like that, and like why don't Superman just do this and stuff like this after that dude and just blow him away, and like you get an image of he's Superman thinks about that stuff. Isn't it would be naive to say like he doesn't every once in a while not think about it. It's kind of like what I mentioned before in like another video about like Batman Under the Red Hood. It's like, Batman explained to Red Hood. It's like, you don't think I thought about putting Joker through every agonizing pain that he put others through? But like, I don't want to go down that route because I won't come back. And that's what Superman's essentially feeling right here. Like, yeah, I want to just burn that man to cinders, but I do not want to, force my will onto people. It's not who I am. It's not how I was raised. So he's having like a crisis of conscience or what you call it, but it's just like he's hearing every once in a while news reports of like more deaths in Barada, and it's like he's feeling helpless because he'll feel like he's doing more harm than good by going back over there and throwing his weight around trying to help somebody, and it's like he'll end up causing more deaths than it is already going on. So like get a little bit of history of like the parasite in this, and it's like he's just more of like he's always been like a sadistic guy. Even as a kid, he wore braces. He got made fun of, and then he bit a kid's ear off for making fun of him. You got a nice little moment with him and Lisa, just having like a nice dinner together, just to keep his mind off the whole problem he was having. And he's telling her the story of how he rescued a cat from being attacked by like a coyote or something like that, and the cat got injured and was there's like a slash on one of the cat's eyes. So he took care of the cat. The cat was like his only friend for a while as a kid because he felt so alone. So he spent so much time with the cat. He was staring out the moon at the cat outside of his farm home, and as he's in his room reading, his cat came to the bed, laid down next to him, and passed away. And like, Clark, so brokenhearted, the one thing he feel like he could do, one last thing he could do for this cat, he flew the cat to the moon and buried the cat in the ground on the moon. So that way, every time he looks at the moon, he thinks of his first friend. And this brings Lisa to tears. I mean, it did move me. Shit. It's like, when the very first time I read this a long time ago, because these Earth 1 comics took a long time to come out. Each volume took a long time to come out. I really wish they make more of these. They did one for Green Lantern. I will do that eventually. They did one for Teen Titans, Wonder Woman, and Batman. And I really wish they'll do some for like Flash and Aquaman. About to say Cyborg, but for Martian Manhunter, like do some Earth 1 comics for the core roster of the DC Justice League. Then their little meal interrupted when like Parasite finally comes to town after he's tracking down. When he hears about Superman, he's tracking him down, figuring like, I can get more energy from him. As they battle, Parasite, starts draining Superman's strength. He's getting bigger like the Hulk at this point. And like you see like, nice subtle changes to, what the Parasite looks here. I wish I can show you. So Superman's pretty much like nearly drained, uh, he managed to get away. And as you go back to the North Pole to the ship, and the ship is explaining to him that his powers are slowly returning, because it's still like a sliver of, as long as there's like a sliver of his bio, biology that uh, absorbs the solar radiation, his powers will return. But once that connection is severed, if it's drained too much of it to a point where it's completely dead, you be not only normal, but you be susceptible to be killed immediately. You will not regain your powers again ever again. Uh, so while he's figuring out a way to build like a suit or something just to prevent any more absorption from the parasite. Parasite is losing power, because one of the parasite's weaknesses is that after he absorbs someone's powers, or even energy in general, eventually it fades away after expelling that energy for after a certain amount of exertion. And he can't find Superman, so he's figuring out attacking the place that's interviewed him, the Daily Planet, just to draw him out. The suit's not ready, so once he realizes the parasite is gonna eventually figure out who he is or where he works, he sonic booms his butt all the way back to Metropolis, and it's a nice little panel by panel, as like it's representing like time slowing as he slowly bursts through the wall to tackle Parasite out the other side of the building, just before he reaches for Lois. Now, of course, once again, his powers again absorbed by the Parasite, and like he's out of powers right now temporarily. So he's walking through as the Parasite is flying away to, because he's over enough to allow flight at this point now. So he's trying to really like go up and really see what these powers are all about. So Superman's walking through the alleys, changing clothes, and it's like he's come to realization. It's like because he's almost getting hit by a car, and it's like for the first time ever, he understands what it's like to be human for the first time. He's feeling pain, distraught, anxious, worry, he's in awe on how like you guys got more strength than I do, because the fact that you don't have any invulnerability, you don't even at least have invulnerability. Y'all walking out here, any little thing can kill y'all, and yet y'all just still do it. And it's like I'm just amazed by that, because like he never felt vulnerable in his life before. This is the first time he actually, in general, felt vulnerable in this universe, and it's something that he, he appreciates, but he wants to get his powers back, so he has more appreciation of what humans go through, and it kind of makes it more, encourages more to protect everybody because they're so fragile. He crawls back home. Lisa thinking he got mugged or something. He passes out, and as he wakes back up, he's getting his powers back. But there was a moment where like him and Lisa could like, have like a thing. But as he's getting his powers back, he's like, I can't do nothing now. And it's like, he slept through the moment where he, could have done something. By this point, it's too late. So, he flies back to North Pole as like the specialized suit is finished by the computer on his ship to protect him from any other absorption. He flies back to Metropolis, fights the Parasite, and then beats him finally, right when like the armor membrane is cracking and goes away. He beats him just in the nick of time before he is in danger of getting absorbed. And but the story's not over yet. I mean, it's like it was a nice couple of moments here where Superman actually, you know, you don't normally see Superman do any street level crime stopping beyond like maybe bank robberies. There was like a moment where this man was about to beat Lisa. Luckily, he was on top of I guess like you said, like I mentioned earlier, she's an escort on the side, and this man was about to beat her, and he went so fast while in mid change to stop him before he hits her, where he drops his glasses right in the middle of her floor, and he drops in the middle of Alaska, telling him like the nearest town is X amount of miles that way. If you start walking now, you'll make it before you freeze to death. But by the time, if you manage to get home, don't you speak to her, don't you lay eyes on her, don't you do anything to her, because I will know, and then you'll have me to worry about. It was like a nice moment. It's like, it's like obviously Superman. It's not even just this Lisa. It's just like the fact that he will not, like, this is not something like any man should tolerate of somebody beating on a woman ever. You step in freaking immediately, and it's like Superman didn't have to even lay a finger on him like that. He just out of like he didn't want to like harm him because he's still like a human being. I'm pretty sure he had like the urge to just like really like put the fear of God in him. But he just decided like, well, I'm just gonna leave him in the middle of a snowy wasteland with only like a several miles of a walk just to get to civilization. So like, you good luck with that. And it's like, if you don't make it, well, at least you had a chance. So it was another nice moment where it's like, Superman came back to deal with the general, and Superman had this idea where it's like, since he theoretically did not directly interfere with another country's business, and took to heart what like the general said to him about like the people who have the most guns makes the rules. So he liberated all his prisoners and led them to all the weapon stashes, and led them to where his home is without any interference from any of his soldiers. So now they will come in here and tell you what the new rules will be, since they have all the most guns. Just as you said, people who has the most guns makes the rules. So you're about to be impeached, essentially. So, it's like it's a nice moment where it's like Superman just flies off, and like General's like begging for like assistance and stuff like that. It's kind of like Batman Begins, where it's like, like I won't kill you, but I don't have to save you either. So he just flies off and just let Darwinism do his work. And it's like, I had to admit, I like this, because you dealing with dictators like this, and it's like, you don't want to cross a line, but it's people like this, you just, I mean, this is like a one way to handle it, honestly. If it was me, I'd probably just like fly him off in the middle of the ocean and just drop him there, and just like, or at least drop him off in the middle of like a small island in the middle of ocean, where he has a chance to get saved, but it's probably gonna be a long while. He'll be just gonna be completely by himself. That's what I probably would do if I was Superman. If I was in that position, I would take him, fly him to like the the most loneliest island I can come across and drop in the middle of there and just leave him. You have like there's fruits, coconuts, or whatever like that. He'll just have to cast away his ass uh, off the island if he has to, if he want to survive. Otherwise, that's just gonna be his new home. F it for a guy like that. But this way, it's fine too. But then like the volume ends on a solemn note, whereas like the Mr. Monroe, the junkie, uh, over OD'd essentially, and Clark comes home to find like his room, Mr. Monroe's room covered in like writing and Superman symbols and everything like that. Pretty much like wanted Superman to save him essentially, because I guess he was hitting in that rock bottom kind of situation. And like Clark's asking like, does anybody knows this like next of kin? Like does anybody know anything about this man? And he eventually writes a story paper about him, which it doesn't make the front page, unfortunately, but like he wanted to, but he still managed to make an article about him, which is at the end of this volume, which I thought was very nice. It was very cool little, it's a cool way to work that in, because normally these days it's like you won't probably see that actually written, but the fact that they put the time in to include like a written article about this character and they put it into the tail end of the story, that's very cool. We also get the introduction of Lex Luthor. This version he has hair, but he also has a wife, Alexandra Luthor. So it's like Lex. They call themselves Lex squared. I think it's like she's the more ruthless Lex that we know Lex to be, while the one you expect to be the ruthless one is more of one of those rare few versions of Lex Luthor that's actually good. There's only a few good Lex Luthors in certain DC multiverses. Is this one and Earth 3 Crime Syndicate universe where that version of Lex Luthor is good too. There's only two that I can remember of a good Lex Luthors. So now we move on to the final of Volume 3. And this one, we get General Zod in this one. And it's a hooded General Zod. And I really like this version of General Zod. I think in Man of Steel, they kind of base that General Zod off of this comic version. Because at least that's what I think. Because like the way his head is shaved and the short beard and the hair, the way it's combed down, is very similar to what was his name, Michael Shannon. Of course, the story begins where it's like this is like aftermath of the events with the dictator in Volume 2, where the different, at least like different government officials from different countries are worried about Superman, given the fact that what he did with his dictator was to stop him from doing anything with other countries that might be doing something that might displease him. And it's like they call in Lex and Alexandra to figure out a way to stop him if push comes to shove, and possibly kill him. And they come up with the idea utilizing the red sun radiation that we saw in Volume 1 with, Superman having trouble dealing with that, and it caused him to be depowered. And, of course, Lex is hesitant because he doesn't feel like, this man did anything beyond just help people, and it feels kind of cruel just to make up a weapon just to kill him when he hasn't done anything wrong yet. And we probably don't know if he ever will. And and this the whole culmination of what Clark figured out that, hey, Lois is like snooping on him, and he's finally come to a head. But while he's gathering information, Lois is on the roof sounding a Superman signal, a la Batman signal, and it's like a nice little joke where it's like Superman mentions like, if anybody else beyond me see this flash in the air, it's like it might as well be shining a signal here, like here, bomb right here. And it's like he has a point. I'm surprised no one ever brought that up in any Batman comics. And Lois explains to Superman like, people are afraid of what you might do, given the events in Barada with that dictator. And it's like you kind of, she put it in a way like he's crossed the line where it's like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, he probably in some manner crossed the line and probably did. And he admits like, yeah, I know I probably upset a lot of people, but it's like this man was going to let his people die, and it's like, and I try to help. He won't allow me. He threatened. He essentially threatened. Like he put Superman in a tough position, and it's like it was killing him that the fact that he couldn't do anything by knowing full well. It's not the fact that we all know certain countries do awful things to people, and it sucks. And we, a lot of people try to do their part in trying to mitigate that. But if you have Superman's powers, and you still feel helpless, and you try to help in those kind of countries, and you're being like stonewalled, and you just stewing about it, not, and you know full well that you could have done something, but you had to back away, and now in your recesses of your mind, you Rolodexing any bad scenario this man might be doing right now, and you could easily be preventing it. I mean, it's like that will freak anybody out, honestly. So it's like, but he has to understand, it's like he can't become a dictator himself. This is not Red Sun. Then of course Zod's ship crash lands here. We'll get to him soon. But then Clark finally confronts Lois about the investigation she's been running on him, explaining like, you went up behind my back snooping about me, and what makes it worse is that you didn't go to your primary suspect, which was me. You could have literally asked me. I'm really right here. You could have just asked me. And it's like, she gave the spiel. It's like, well, I stopped because it led to nothing. But I'm not going to apologize for like following my instincts. Yes, you should. What you did was a very asshole move. And even if you were suspicious, yeah, ask him. If you still feel like he's, like any news reporter will definitely would have done that and make that the first thing they do before go to any other sources to follow up on. That's why it's called following up. It's like you go to your primary source, you get information from his side of things, and then you follow up just to see if it corroborates. Because in my mind, that's how journalism will work. That's how any investigation will work. Yeah, sure. You go to him, but you don't just stop at him. Yeah, you go to other people. I'm pretty sure Clark would feel less infuriated if you check with them first and then follow up afterwards with other people just to make sure it's corroborated. So that way, he doesn't feel like, he's being spied upon. Nobody likes to be spied upon. But they essentially start over, from scratch and come to some kind of understanding. Lisa comes back, gets the landlord to open up Clark's room so she can get her earring that she left in his apartment. She finds his Superman costume, throws it back in the closet where she found it. Now she knows he's Superman, but she's keeping it a secret, but doesn't know how to get him to open up about it. So she's sitting on this pretty much. Then Superman has to run off. Uh, uh, he ended up meeting Zod when like a bridge was collapsing. So as he's getting help saving like the bridge and like everybody's about to fall over in the sea, uh, he's regaling his story of Krypton and his time with Jor-El and his wife, and of course it's all bullshit. Uh, uh, but it was Zod who, just want to cut to the chase. It was Zod who not only orchestrated a civil war, but when he lost, he snuck off, went to Tyrell's planet, and he was the one that gave them the science needed to destroy Krypton in the first place. So since he was off world, he uh was safe from the destruction. But he instructed anybody who might survive or whatever, if any Kryptonian minds to survive and you can't handle him, send a signal so I will finish the job. Which is why, like, when before Tyrell died, he mentions about another, or at least a bigger threat, which turns out to be Zod. So that way Zod can come in and finish where Tyrell left off, and which Zod is a bigger threat than even Tyrell was. They found out that Lois found out that the bridge collapse wasn't an accident. Somebody like heated a piece of a coil to allow the breaking to happen slowly but surely, and they go through cameras to see like somebody who flying at high speeds managed to like laser the bridge to a point where it's going to eventually collapse, knowing that it couldn't be Superman, so it had to be this other guy. And then Zod went to the UN and gave them this lie, essentially saying like his family caused the death of their and destruction of their planet. I'm here to deal with them. I just need you guys to not interfere. This is Kryptonian business. I will end him. I end this threat. So just do not interfere because you might rely on allies. Just instruct your military forces all around the world, to not help out this person. Clark eventually realized, after talking with his mother and realizing like this Lisa person actually legit cares about you, according to like a mother, like mothers always know. He mentions like, how do mothers always know? Because the fact that she mentions like that she comes over your house all the time. Does she eat all your food? Does she show a lot of cleavage when she's near you? She likes you. Zod, after meeting up with Superman, before Lois could try to shine the light in the sky just to get his attention, they fly off, and back at Zod's crashed ship, Zod opened up the ship filled with kryptonite, weakening Superman so Zod can kill him. And Zod's covered in like a membrane that protects him from the radiation. But Superman was clever. He lasers the ground where it hits like a water pipe, or at least some kind of water. Yeah, it's a water pipe because it's like there was like an army earlier there that Zod ended up killing, but they didn't have any water trucks near. So they had to get their water source somewhere. So he found the water source. He blasted Zod with it. Was soaked his the membrane of the suit, and he like smashed, it's super cooled it, smashed it, and so now he's just as vulnerable to the kryptonite. So he has no choice but to shut the machine closed, so the radiation won't keep affecting him either. So Superman takes the opportunity to fly off to regain his strength. Where he landed was near like a U.S. military base, and he asked them for help, and they said like, we're instructed not to help you. He's like, what? You have instructions. Every country, every government of every country is instructed to not help you. With this, you're on your own, essentially. When he went down back to his ship in the North Pole, he gets information on General Zod. No, then figure out yeah, he's full of shit. He's starting a civil war. He's trying to become like a dictator, and his father wasn't not going to back him, which caused further war. Him end up losing. Then he flies off to go to Tyrell's people to cause the destruction of the planet, which was all Zod's fault. He killed their people. And then the ship was mentioning and bringing Clark to realization that Zod was gonna find his place, and going through his stuff, he's gonna find letters straight to his mother, to his home. So he blasted back to Metropolis, and right as Zod was inches away from his apartment building, he slams right into him, causing a shockwave, which against the building where Lisa, luckily, she wasn't seriously hurt, but she felt that sucker, and looking out the window as he's seeing Clark fight Zod. And of course, at this point, Clark knew she figured out his secret identity after the landlord told him that he had to let her in to find her earrings, and then realizing after she was trying to come find the words to explain that she knew about his secret and everything like that. But as those two were fighting, the Luthors blasted Superman with a red solar radiation gun, depowering him. So now he's weak, and Zod is pretty much just beating the crap out of him. And it's like being broadcasted, everybody with their phones and everything like that. And it's being broadcasted while he's being mercilessly beaten. He's Zod's kicking him to the point where he's cracking 2 ribs. He's snapping his fingers because he won't kneel before Zod. And Lisa's crying as she's watching this on TV. Jimmy, Lois, and Perry's, and it's our job is to report the news. We're not, we can't interfere in this. There's nothing we can do. God help us. There's nothing we can do. And it's even the Lex is saying this is sadistic now. This is just sadistic. And the Major is I know, just haven't finished the job already. Stop toiling around with this. And it's everybody around the world is just watching Superman just being mercilessly beaten. It's not even a fair fight at this point. It's just somebody's kicking a person when they're down. This is not a fight at this point. And the whole world's watching. And one good Samaritan, as Zod's toying with him, allowing him to, because he mentions you wonder why I didn't break your legs yet, because I still you'll need something to kneel on when you're ready to kneel before me. So he's allowing Clark to just limp off because he wants to prolong the fight. Some good Samaritan managed to allow Clark to hand Clark his phone so he can call his mother, so he doesn't know what might happen here at this point. So he wants to say his final goodbyes to his mother at least, and just give one final fight. Lex is just takes the solar gun and leave the office without his wife knowing or realizing what he's doing, because at this point he's not with this. He takes a cab back into the city, while Lisa takes a cement truck and drives right into Zod, giving Superman a chance to regain his strength again because it's coming back slowly. Uh, of course, like in the ensuing crash, Lisa pretty much like hurt herself at this point, just crashing into a Kryptonian. Uh, uh, she's not dead, but it was like she got seriously injured at this point. And uh, Luthor comes by and blasted uh, Zod with the radiation. It wasn't like a full dose, but just enough where it's like now it's roughly even. But his powers will return faster than Clark's. So they're fighting, and in the ensuing fight, Zod throws a metal rod at Luthor right before he tried to blast Zod again. He got blasted, but Lex got caught by the pipe right in the chest. And right before Zod trying to finish Luthor off, Alexandra is there very fast. I guess she used her sports car and used her gun and shot Zod in the chest, killing him because he's still vulnerable. And she's there to just to speak to her husband one last time before his on his dying breath. So in this canon, the Lex Luthor is dead. So now in the primary Lex, the one we expect from the male, is the female Alexandra is going to be like in this universe the nemesis to Earth 1 Superman, and she's blaming Superman for all this trouble and the death of her husband. He takes the solar gun and flies off, leaving her to grieve. He makes sure that Lisa is comfortable in the hospital, well taken care of, and it was a nice moment where like Superman speaks with the world's governments at a UN at the UN building, and it's a nice moment. It's like I want to speak, say something. Let me say this word for word here because this is my favorite. It's my favorite part of the volume 3. With your permission, I would like to begin with a brief statement. What the hell were you thinking? Did that translate? Did that translate? Did that need to translate? So he's rightly pissed. They essentially put a hit out on him, and all he was trying to do is help people. And it's like he's telling them, look, I know you're scared. You don't know me like that. You don't know my motives. All I can do is try. I might mess up like I did with the whole dictator thing. That was my screw up. I'm not going to try. I'll try not to go down that route again. I might mess up in the future, but I just want to let you know I will try my best to just not go overboard and staying within my lane, but essentially let them know like I'm here to help, but I won't try to throw my weight around essentially to I'm not going to try to play God among you, but it's like like just don't pull that stunt again. He just says like I realize now that what happened at Barradia was a mistake. My intentions were good, but it scared you. And as much as I hate to admit it, you were right to be scared. I crossed a line that should not have been crossed. I give you my word that I'll try never to cross that again. Will I make mistakes in the future as we try to work this out? Probably yes. This is a new situation for all of us, but I think that over time, working in good faith, we'll find that balance. That said, there's something that I should point out. If anything happens to me, if someone like Zod or Tyrell or the next nutbar to roll in off the galactic realm actually does manage to kill me, you need to understand that whoever is big enough and powerful enough to finish me off almost certainly won't stop there. So I'm not gonna go to. I'm not going to stand here and appeal to your charity or your kindness or even your humanity. As much as I value and cherish all those things about the human race, I'm speaking to your sense of enlightened self-interest. I'm not the problem. The problem will be whoever is standing behind me when and if I fall. I'm here to help. I swear to you on my honor, and I hope to prove that to you in the coming years. So to all the governments that decide to look the other way in this last incident, except when you were actively helping with my attempted murder, never, ever do that again. And it's like one of those few rare moments when like Superman actually, gets serious. He's a Boy Scout, but on those rare occasions when he gets serious like that, that's when your ears perk up. It's kind of like when you have those nice, cool teachers, but when they get serious on you, you effed up. It's kind of like that for me, and it's kind of like those moments you take to heart. But at the end, Clark introduces Lisa to his mother for the first time. Then as he's trying to find the kryptonite that Zod left behind, find out that Alexandra took it. But so they're him and Lisa are together, and they're a couple. He doesn't get with Lois in this version, and I don't necessarily mind that. If they would have continued Superman Earth 1 as more of a continuation, maybe 3 more issues, maybe at some point something might happen where him and Lisa doesn't work out or something happens to her, which I hope it not. That could possibly be a possibility of him and Lois get together. But I like this character. I like this Lisa character. But you never see Lisa in anything. Well, obviously because him and Lois are married in the actual main continuity. But this is one of those rare occasions where because there's certain Elseworld stories that I love, but I think when it comes to DC Elseworlds, I like them more so than Marvel's What Ifs, because they're essentially the same thing. It's pretty much Elseworld story, but I won't call it What Ifs Elseworld stories. It's telling a same story, but with a different outcome. This is Elseworlds are just it could be the part of the main continuity, but with a certain spin, and it's more localized. When I did a review for a Batman Arkham Asylum, a Serious House on Serious Earth, which I do highly recommend you check that out. It's on my YouTube channel. One of my favorite Batman Elseworld stories. That's one of those self-contained stories that can easily fit in the main continuity, but it's just a take on Batman, and it's just its own localized story, kind of out of continuity, but you can easily make it in continuity. At least it's out of continuity, but with the same history for Batman. And this one, same thing. But like I said, Earth 1 is kind of the Earth 1 universe is kind of like Marvel's Ultimate Universe. It's more modernized of the story. But yeah, I highly recommend Superman Earth 1. It's one of my favorite Earth 1s. I didn't read all of the Earth 1 stories. I read the Green Lantern one, and I read the Batman one. The Batman one, which is ironic, because usually a lot of Elseworld Batman stories I really love, but the Batman Earth One, even though I still enjoyed it, it's the lesser of, at least so far as the lesser of the Earth One stories that I like. But I haven't read Wonder Woman Earth One or the Teen Titans Earth One. But eventually I will get around to that. But what do you guys think of Superman Earth One? If you have read it before, what did you like about it? What's your pros and cons to it? If you haven't read it, I highly recommend you check it out. If you want a really good Superman story, this is one of the best ones I cannot recommend it highly enough. It's like really good Superman story. It's like, everything you expect in Superman, and it's like, like honestly the perfect representation of a Superman, in a comic format. But next comic book review will be Green Lantern Earth One. I want to get into those. It's been a long while since I read that one, and I thoroughly enjoyed the Green Lantern Earth One. I'll check that out. Then I'll switch back to a Marvel comic after that. So, as a matter of fact, now I'm thinking about it. Since my profile on a lot of my channels is got the Spider-Man stuff on it, I have yet to do a Spider-Man comic review. And I figure after Green Lantern, I'll find, well, it's probably a good idea to start with Peter Parker. But I need to do a story for the Spider-Verse kind of characters. One for Peter, one for Miles, one for Gwen, Spider-Man Noir, Spider-Man 2099. I need to do one for all of those guys separately. There's some there where they're obviously interconnected stories with one another, but I want to make read solo stories of them, and give them their own little thing before I read any stories and do reviews where they're all together, like the what's the comic called, the crap, it's kind of like Spider-Verse, but it's not Spider-Verse. It's kind of like when they getting chased by interdimensional vampires, which is not that good of a story. I'd rather read Clone Conspiracy before I read that, because honestly, there's moments in there that I like. Well, Clone Conspiracies has issues too, but both of them have moments in there that I like. So it's like I still want to reread them, because I can't just read all my favorite comic books. I gotta read some stuff that I at least find okay, or at least they suck. Or if you have ideas for comics that you want me to review, leave a comment below. I'll check it out, and I'll definitely make a review video for that and give you a nice little shout out. So yeah, that's my my first Superman spoiler comic book review. So I will see you guys next time for other reviews. You take care, and follow me on my Patreon. That's patreon.com/talkativecarl. Follow me on my other platforms, youtube.com/talkativecarl, Twitter, talkativecarl, and of course, you can subscribe to my Twitch channel where I play video game walkthroughs. That's twitch.tv/talkativecarl. And I will see you guys next time. You take care.